plays and making headway for years, and now they find themselves on the doorstep to get another or maybe their first national championship.
Well, what do you think? Let's talk about PR7s, right, and what that's done for the athlete, right? Like that experience, that coming in, high pressure, high stakes rugby, right? Like you got to win or you go home, forget about it. There's no second place in PR7s. Well, I guess they gave a plate, but like you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you lose one game and you're done, right? So it's like, and I mean that was something I was talking to Aki earlier, and I asked him about that. I'm like, what is that? Like what does it feel like when you got to put out, perform? And he goes, it's great, man. He goes, I love that pressure. I love the fact that, it's do or die, win or go home, right?
Just to live in a knockout round. Like that's like every tournament you played in before, you play a couple pool games. Maybe you make some mistakes early on. You get to fix them. No, it's none of that. You better fix all the mistakes that captains run and the practices beforehand. And that kind of pressure is going to create great opportunities for players today. They've lived in a higher temperature, right?
Yeah.
That kitchen was hotter than the kitchen that we're at now, but it's still some of the best players in the USA. You got to show up and have to do it on a bigger stage, and now be here. We might see some new stars get created over this weekend.
Oh, yeah. So who you got for new stars this weekend? Anybody on the radar that we should hear, that we should look about?
Yeah, it's a few guys out west I've been speaking to. It's really a team thing. So let's talk about Oregon.
Okay.
And let's talk about the 6
Which
months
team,
they've
the men
had.
or the women?
Well, both in the
both
sense,
of them,
right?
Like
both
you got
in the sense that out of nowhere they decided that they're going to be premier team in the USA, men's and women. And we all, most in the rugby community know who they're fighting for, what they're fighting for. This Oregon team is maybe the most motivated team in a national championship tournament we've had in recent memory. And I believe they got the players to shake some things up. And with the drive that they have, it's possible that they can put a beating on almost anybody here. So,
all right, let's talk about some of these players. Put somebody out on there. I'll see right now. I'll go through Oregon. I'll see what we got for their rosters. We're looking right now. Dom Aquina. Are you kidding me?
Seriously?
Yeah, dude, he's right here. We got Dom Aquina. I can't believe that, right? Like, I mean, wow, that's the first name right there, and that's a pretty good name that they got going on right there. Juwan Johnson, Tony Kafoa, Trevor Kahuahana. Sorry if I butchered that, Trevor.
Johnson got family that's MLR. He's part of a elite group athletically. He can make some moves over this tournament.
Yeah.
But definitely this Oregon squad I've been looking at. It's hard to make a prediction based off of those kind of factors, but I believe they can shake the world. And as we look at these pools.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's talk about the pool. I mean, we're kind of jumping all over the place right now.
It's a kid in the candy store, man. I'm just happy to be here, man.
Yeah, we're jumping all over the place here. But let's just talk about that. So let's start there. We talked about Oregon. Let's talk about Pool F, right? Like, you throwing Oregon a lot of love here, man. It's some boys from Old Blue that ain't going to like that, ain't going to be happy for you to come in. And then you're talking all that great about Oregon. Oregon coming in ranked in the number 10th seed. You got Old Blue, Belmont Shore, and Austin Huns at 15 seed.
Yep.
The Austin Huns coming in, Old Blue and Belmont Shore. We know Belmont Shore always brings it.
We know Old Blue always brings, you can't talk about the same teams every year. Old Blue was runners-up last year, had the opportunity to win the Nationals and played against the buzzsaw that Nav is, unfortunately. Found themselves doing very well in the Northeast, and here they are again. Second seed is almost as if they're repeating from last year, but obviously new year, new team.
Yeah.
Belmont Shore looked good in warm-ups. That's warm-ups.
Yeah,
Given it's warm-ups, but they all look 3D and built out. Look like they're gonna play some physical rugby. But you got this. Oregon has a story. Oregon has a drive.
Well, tell us that story.
So,
Tell us that story.
Well,
and we can take that camera around. You can start zooming that in on us right now. You can start working that camera for us if you could, Alex.
Recently, I can't even be sure of the time frame, they lost one of their teammates, Gio.
Gio, yes.
And the rugby community mourned as a whole. Just hearing the news was shocking enough. I met him for the first time at Freetail, and I had an hour-long conversation with him. It was good to chop it up, and he always showed love and interacted with me, so I understand the good guy that we lost. And these Oregon men and women had people who had real love for him too. So I feel that that's a very unique motivation. I've had to deal with that as a rugby player, and I know how it feels to drive to want to win for someone, win for your fallen comrade. So in the pool that they're in, it's really tough. They're going to have to play in emotional moments structured. They got to play rigid. They got to play to their standard. but at the same time be driven and brought to the field and flew in on the memory of someone they love. So it's tough to call.
Well, you talk about Oregon playing for Gio, but, man, you got to talk about the same team that's in this pool that's playing Austin Huns. That was Gio's home club. Austin Huns in Oregon playing in the same thing. Tune in for that game at 4:50. We'll have a moment of remembrance for Gio. Yeah. We'll talk about him, have just a quick moment in before that game. So you got Oregon and Austin Huns playing in the third game of the day, right? That was Gio's teams. So you know that's going to be a special moment. It's going to be a special match here. We're going to shut everything down, both fields, really pay the respect to Gio. As you said, I mean, he always had a smile on his face, always out there, always just like bringing the motivation. And, boy, he could ball.
He can play. And you know, I don't get to see West Coast guys that much.
Yeah.
So to get to chop it up with him, see how he's feeling, see how he's going, and then also get to see him operate, see him make the decisions he make. I understand why people have such a respect for him, and you know, we're going to miss one of the good ones.
We got that. And then you just glanced over Old Blue right there.
Well, listen, you know, I'm a big Old Blue fan. I got an Old Blue shirt I was thinking about wearing today, acting like I'm impartial, right? But Old Blue, I played for him for a year. These guys and me go back. We were competitors, and now some of those guys are still on the team. Guys that I've coached and coached around while I was in New York are now guys that are part of this Old Blue Sevens team. People that were on the come up on the lower levels on the D2 team, working hard, still grinding, finding themselves from the B team to the A team now and helping Old Blue get an opportunity for a national championship. It warms my heart to see, you know, a group of my friends essentially, you know, continue to have success. But can they get over the hump? They took second in sevens last year, took second in 15s this year. They really
Asterisks.
are.
Asterisks.
Yeah. Yeah, my fault, not to be, you know, forgetful of the grift, but they definitely feel as though, you know, it's got to be our time. We're right at the doorstep multiple times, so, you know, I always got love for Old Blue. It's never any hate.
Of course you got love. You said it's our time.
Yeah, I'm speaking for them.
Yeah, you're speaking for them. All right, so, hey, that's going to be Pool F. That's going to be great. But we got a man hanging out over there. Rolly, come on in here. Beltway Elite Coach. Let's get into Pool H right now. Pop up in. Here you go, Rolly. Yeah, hey, welcome, buddy. Yeah.
How you doing today?
Doing well. We got our training in just a little earlier there. It's just hanging out right now, seeing a few of the other teams that are competing here. Some good-looking teams, got to say. We're quietly confident ourselves, obviously, and really pleased with the work we put in this summer and hoping to do well. Every year we've come here to National so far. We've done better every year, so hoping we can go a little step better than sixth that we did last year.
Yeah.
So,
well, tell me about this atmosphere. It's something about pulling up and seeing this pitch full laid out. Tell me about what you first thought.
As an Irish guy, it reminds me so much of home. Yes.
Are you Irish? Okay, yes.
So, just the beautiful rolling green fields. This area in general is so picturesque. The people have been very friendly. The whole area has all bought into the Sevens Championships being here, and you know the facility.
See, Rolly's been coaching too long. He forgot how to put the microphone up to his mouth. All right.
So the facility is just.
Whoa, that's loud. Okay, yeah, there
class.
It is. Yeah.
First class facility. You know, we're sitting in air conditioning, guys. They have showers and changing rooms, and it's truly first-class facility. So happy to be here.
Absolutely. Now, this Beltway Elite team, last year, some can say they shocked, and you say they take 6. You want to do better. Tell me how this team has grown from last year's opportunity and what they provide to the tournament this year to go even further.
Great question. Our team has grown from every year in the last 6 years since we've been together, slightly pre-COVID. And we've just tried to build an environment where we take in young local athletes from colleges and all of the clubs in the area, of which there are many. And we try to bring in their best players and some of their up-and-comers that we think that we can, you know, round out and give back to the 15s club in better shape and better skill set for that next season. And so far, I have to say all of the local clubs have really bought in because they've seen now what we can do and how we've developed players, and the quality of the fitness level has gone up, and the passing quality, obviously, and you know, just general IQ of rugby. Sevens really helps, guys. I have to say that. And, you know, the Mid-Atlantic is since Old Glory has come into the area, it's kind of it's cresting right now. It's the sevens scene is really vibrant, both men's and women's. It was a hell of a race in the Mid-Atlantic this year in sevens, as it was last year. I think we can thank a lot of NAV for that. You know, they're the big dogs on campus, and we're all been chasing them, nipping at their heels. But we have played NAV many times. We've beaten them. They've beaten us. It's I think it's a good rivalry, and we're thankful that they're in our area. To be quite honest with you, that they can produce, bring in high quality athletes, and it makes the entire area better. You add Schuylkill River and Nova to that mix. We're all here this weekend, and you got a pretty good league then, so we're all hitting off one another.
So I want to talk about one of the players you got, talking about that local, that I've been following him since the beginning. I call him the truth, Jihad Kabir, right? Jihad Kabir, man, the way he floats, the way he moves the ball, the way he plays, man, it's beautiful. It's just finesse, right? Talk to me about Jihad.
So, first of all, Jihad came into the club a couple of years ago after having won national championships, and he's truly revered in the area as a top class player in sevens. So he has, he brings that little extra into the squad, and the young guys can look up to him and he's been to the top of the mountain, and I call him Old Slow Hand, because everything he does is with such beautiful timing and grace, and he does like a fake pass, and it's the slowest thing you've ever seen, but it fakes everybody out, and he's a marvel to watch, so we're glad he's on our team for sure, and he's definitely looking forward to balling out here this weekend for sure.
Give me somebody else on your team that maybe we don't know about that we expect to see come out and have a great tournament this weekend.
So we've got a young whippersnapper on the team called Quinn Western.
Yep.
You'll know him because he has a flying Z on the side of his hair, and he'd be our sort of stepper this weekend, for want of a better word, but he's a lot more than that. He's excellent defensively as well, so we're really proud that he's come through the ranks over the years, and now he's on our premier team, and is well worth the price of admission, as they say, to take a look at him. He's one for the, he's here now, but he's still one for the future, Our captains, Luke DeRoche and Jake Soriano, I think, are really going to put a show on, especially on Sunday. Jake will be in. He won't be here on Saturday. He'll be here for Sunday. But he is one of our PR7's players and a truly top-class player. So we're very happy with just the quality of the squad this year. Everybody is, fit and healthy, and we have no complaints. We'll just play the games and see what happens.
One of the things that stands out is how the local, these guys are from the area.
Yeah.
Is there some people you want to thank that are back home, or people who couldn't make the trip that help facilitate everything that Beltway League's been doing this year?
Oh, absolutely. So we have such a giant brain trust in the area. The first thing has to go with all the clubs. We can't do it without the participation of, Rocky Gorge, Potomac, Washington Renegades. These teams, basically loan us their players, to be quite honest. Now, it's all on the pretense that we will give them back better than ever, but also the collegiate players who've come in. Now we've gotten to know some of the coaches in the area on the college teams, and they're sending really talented players our way, and it's really exciting. We have a young kid here this weekend called Leo Fangmeyer. He came from Notre Dame, but another local product. His brother, you might know, is Jude Fangmeyer, who got MVP on the CRCs this year. So Leo is his older brother. Hopefully Jude will be with us next year. And, and these are the kind of things that we're trying to build, There's lots of guys that are still in our club who've been here since year one. And it's all about, this year, finally, we're back to our pre-COVID ways, where we had over 30 players at practice doing sevens on a Tuesday, Thursday night, in sweltering heat in Maryland. And, it was truly fantastic to watch all these guys, balling out, getting better every day. And we were able to send different teams in different directions and, play different tournaments. And they all did great. And hopefully those guys can come back and they've enjoyed the experience, even if they didn't make the Premier team, and hopefully next year they and their mates will come back again, and we can go again, So we're always looking to try and keep it all rolling,
Let's talk real quick before we get you out of here, and then we bring in Justin Hale, referee extraordinaire. In your pool, you have Denver Barbos, St. Louis Bombers, who I'm coining the term Macy's Misfits, and then Mystic River.
So pretty tough group, I think you'll agree.
Yep.
Closest thing to pool of death that we have.
Is that right?
Yep.
I wouldn't disagree. So we're quite familiar with Denver in that we know Campbell Johnson and Dave Hightower, who are both played Beltway before, local products from the Maryland area who are out in that region now. So they're going to be a huge test. We know exactly what we're getting ourselves in for. Hopefully, game one, we might be able to catch them cold and do well there. The Bombers are clearly a pretty well put together outfit. I think they're going to be I don't even think you can say sleeper now. They're just legit. We've played Mystic already this year and took a win against them. Again, tough game. So they're going to be. We won't be taking them lightly at all. After that, guys, hopefully we can go 3-0, 2-1, make it through the group, and then anything can happen, right? It's sevens.
You got Jahad Kabir, anything could happen.
Absolutely.
Anything can happen. He could set it up, put people through holes, step it himself, take it, chip it. That again needs. I love Fest here. Love Fest. Love Fest because that kid is just awesome.
Well,
awesome.
I'm glad you're not the only ones who think that.
Yeah.
So we're glad he's playing for us. Let's just say that.
Absolutely.
Coach.
Thank you so much, lads.
Always great.
Thanks so much, Ryan.
Rolly.
Appreciate you guys.
We'll see you.
Take care.
We'll get you in. And then, hey, Justin, come on in here, man. Referee extraordinaire. Get on up in here, bro. Referee was pretty good at playing, too. Ragamuffins, other rugby club, formerly Austin Huns. What else? Who else you play for? Pick up the mic first and to tell people.
Gorilla.
Gorilla.
At Rugby Town at Tsunami.
Yeah.
Sports Barbarian at Rugby Town. So
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
All right. What's your favorite team?
Texas A&M, where I played in college.
Oh, Aggie, man. There's so many Aggie jokes I could just go on from back when I lived in Texas right now. I don't remember any of them because I've had too many times. But anyways, hey, Justin Hale, if you don't know him, as we just said briefly, played a lot of games, played for a lot of teams, built rugby clubs, has gone on and is now an extremely successful referee. You're crushing it, bro. You're crushing it.
Yeah, don't get humble now.
Yeah. You're crushing it, dude.
Not where I want to be, but yeah.
And then also, behind the scenes doing a lot of admin stuff as well, too. So, tell us just real quick about, your transition from being a player, right, and having that and balling out to where now you decided to go to the other side. The other side now, the referee, doing that. What's that been like? And, what was the motivation behind that?
Yeah, man, that's interesting. I actually I'm writing a blog post on that right now.
Plug it. Plug it.
I haven't even published it yet.
Oh, you better get to it tonight.
Yeah, well, I know, right?
Yeah.
But the transition, once you've kind of reached the highest that you can go, right? And for me, that's playing high-level club, playing at Rugby Town, playing at Club Nationals for 15s and 7s. You're never going to be a national team player. You kind of just look for what's the next, what's the next step or what's the next, got a fly trying to attack me. What's the next challenge, right? And I tried refereeing Scott Green, which everybody, if you've played any rugby in Texas or the United States, you probably know Scott Green.
Best hair in the business.
Convinced me, I don't know, second place now.
Well, you're that is, yeah. Okay, I'll buy that. You selling that? I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you.
But no, he's the one who actually convinced me to start refereeing. And my short spiel on refereeing, man, it gives me everything that I needed as a player to be successful. So we think about what are the best players on the field. It's not always the guy who's scoring all the tries. It's the guy who can communicate on the field. The referee gets to do that. It's a guy who can see the game and the game in slow motion. As a good referee, you have to be able to do that. It's a guy who doesn't want to sub out. As a referee, you don't get to sub out the entire game, so you always got the best seat in the house. And it's somebody who can do well under pressure, right? And so refereeing gives us all that without having to hit somebody, without having to tackle somebody and get tackled. So making the transition was a little easy. Now, don't get me wrong. I still play every now and again, but
like
not too much.
last weekend. Like
But that
last
was
week.
flagged. That was
Yeah,
flagged.
You still playing?
Yeah,
Let's
hey,
talk about it.
yeah.
What's this
That was
about?
Oz tag.
You represented the United States in
Yeah.
the Tag World Cup. Tell us about that trip.
Man, it's. I won't talk too much about the
And
trip.
talking to the microphone.
Sorry, I won't talk too much about
Oh, now it sounds
about
great.
the trip.
Yeah.
Talk
But
about the rugby.
I think it's important as a referee in rugby to stay connected to the game, right? And so if we look at like some of the best referees we have here in the state, you know, look at people like Kat Roach. People don't know she still plays a lot of touch rugby. She plays a lot of touch rugby, and she's out at practices with teams and things like that. So we have to stay connected to the game in order to referee the game, right? You know, even today, I wanted to come out here and do a few runs with the team, not blowing the whistle, just seeing how they feel and seeing how they're moving and stuff like that. And so I try to keep playing rugby, anything I can do without getting hit. So we can pull my flag, we can play touch. As long as I don't get tackled, it's all right.
Too much, man. As much rugby as you play, I don't see you get
Hey,
hit too much. You can step, you can move, man, and then pass the ball.
Well, rugby is a game of evasion.
Yeah.
You know, nobody believes it. So the game is to not get hit. So
Forwards
I take
don't believe
pride.
that. Forwards don't believe
No
that.
forward ever believes that.
Yeah,
sentence,
yeah, yeah.
actually. That's a Bax philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I take pride in not getting hit.
Yeah. So now coming here, talk about some of that roughing experience that you've had, right? You've been selected, done a bunch of NCR stuff, done CRAA stuff, Club 15s,
Yep.
Club 7s.
Yep.
What's next?
MLR.
I'm MLR AR.
Yeah. What else, man?
What, tell us about it. What's your goals? What's your ambitions? Have you looked that far in the future?
You know, the goal is to referee at the highest level possible, right? And so whatever it takes to kind of get to there, you know, like for I got to go to Chula Vista actually 2 weeks ago and referee USA Sevens versus Japan in a few scrimmages. And man, that's a blast. So you know, my eyes are set high, but we'll see what happens. You got to come out here and you got to perform, right? We it's an honor to get invited to tournaments like this for a club because there's only 15 refs here for the weekend, right? 15 refs from around the nation. There's 2,000-3,000 referees that are battling to be here, and so to be selected as one of the 15 becomes super important and an honor. And the goal is to come out here and blow the whistle as least as possible and let the teams play the game that they want to play.
Oh my God, we had. Did you hear that?
Thank you, sir. I'm crying underneath these glass. Hold on. That was poetic, man.
Oh, man.
I'm trying not to blow the whistle. Wait, you don't want to interject yourself in the game?
The only time I want to blow the whistle, man, is on a try and then a much-deserved penalty, right?
Yeah.
And so
And you seen this dude's try? He's got the motion, man. It's like straight up. Yeah.
I didn't think I did, but okay.
Yeah, not man. It looks good when you do it.
Yeah,
Watch you
appreciate
turn out. There'll be plenty of tries scored this weekend.
Yeah. So, but you know, you got these teams. Every team is coming here in what is it? I don't know how many teams it is. I just show up. What is it?
32.
32 teams, right? And so each one of these teams have been training
Like
and
this
battling
dude
all
ain't never
summer.
been in a tournament like this before.
Man,
I don't know how many teams there are. I just show up to the game.
You know, that's one of the big transitions. Like as a player, you come in, you're like looking at the pools, like, oh man, who do I have? What are we gonna do about this? As a referee, it's like, okay, where's the tournament? When do I need to be there? Okay, well, I'm there. Who's on the field? Oh, these two teams are playing. I heard these two teams are pretty good. Let's go. Unlike 15s, you got time to kind of research the team to get their tendencies. There's 32 teams here. I can't research 32 teams from across the nation because we don't have next level rugby everywhere, filming everywhere.
Not yet.
You can't be everywhere at once right now.
Lance, we gonna be everywhere.
On the way. It's on the way.
Yeah.
It's on the way.
But these teams have been training hard like all summer and playing together, and so as a referee, man, our goal is to let them play the game that they want to play, and we should be trying to interject when we have to get rid of the fight in the middle, right? When somebody's trying to play in the red area and getting out the gray area, it's to bring some stability to that, and so that's all I really want to do is to be a fly out there.
Yeah.
So here we are. You're here at Nationals. This beautiful pitch, right?
Beautiful.
I know you're enjoying the ground,
yeah.
right? That's first,
Yeah.
right? Some people you want to thank for the opportunity to be here to referee, and people who support you at home, people who show you love.
Yeah, man, I gotta thank USA Rugby for one, because you know they're the ones who selected us to bring us out here. I gotta thank my referee societies, Lone Star Referee Society and the Texas Rugby
society.
Referee Society. Yeah, both really good societies, and then just the coaches who've been helping me out: Peter Simpson, Terry Haas, Rosalind Anderson. They've all just been fantastic. Marquise bringing me out to Chula Vista, shed my eyes on a whole new part of refereeing seven. So I'm hoping to come out here and make them really proud.
Awesome. Hey, so just real quick, you don't know what teams are here. You don't know what's going on because you ain't paying attention, which you shouldn't as a ref. You got to be impartial, right? You ain't got to do it.
Absolutely.
But we going to put you on the spot.
Oh, man.
We got to put you on the spot, all right? Men's bracket. The teams that you know here. We haven't talked about Pool E yet. Nav, Life West, Dallas Reds, and Nova.
That's a great pool.
That's a great pool.
pool.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about one of those teams.
I'm not rooting for anybody, but I'm curious to see what Dallas Reds do.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got the reigning champs in that pool, but you have Reds who've been here. This is like their 5th, 6th year in a row.
Yeah.
Getting here, they've been dominating Texas for the last six years. They didn't dominate when I played, but they're dominating now.
They didn't dominate because you were playing for Austin Huns, right? Is that what that is? Is that what we're getting in there right there? Yeah. Huns up.
But I'm looking for Reds. You know, they're always a great team, and they can't seem to get over just like one little hump every single year. It's we lose by a try here, we lose by a try there, and so I'm really hoping that this year they get over that hump and we see them in that quarterfinal, semifinal, because they deserve it and how far they've been working and what they've been building.
I mean, they got Mighty Mouse and Dylan Carrion, right? They got him, that speed stepper, JP Aguirre.
He was looking good in warm-ups. He was looking good. He was throwing some passes. I was like, sheesh.
They got Spike.
Got Gray.
They got Noodles.
They got Rugger Noodles.
Listen, they got a nice little squad, but on the day, right? Find themselves in the same position last year. On the day, can they show up and put up the best product possible?
And that's what it comes down to.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't talk anything about the other team, the reigning champions, on the top of that, right? Like nobody talked about Nav. We're talking about that, but like. I mean, what you got?
I mean, if you want to talk about Nav, they look as though they're a different team than last year. They lost some players, gained some players. But I expect Nav, the way that they're coaching, their atmosphere, and the back office is, how those guys are, I expect it to be the same Nav. Competitive, smart, straight to the point. Do you get the referee to watch Nav a lot?
No, I don't. But how do you vote against Corey Jones? Anytime he's playing the sport. I tell you, he was in the World Cup last year. Not last year, last week. Best player on the field for a guy who's never played the sport.
Green team for the World Cup, right?
Other teams were like, how long have you been playing this? 2 months. They're like, no way. You want to come to Australia? We'll fly you out to come train with us and play with us.
I saw him embarrassing people on that broadcast. I thought your first game.
Yeah.
And I mean, they played that one replay that just made people look silly, like 5 times over and over again. I'm like, man, send it.
Yeah.
Send it. Yeah. Corey Jones, I mean, he's great. Simi Mawala on that team as well, too. Missile on that team, coached by Emma Walton. And like a bunch of other good coaching staff on it. Like you said, how could you go against like this team, the format, the management that they have, the professionalism, right? Like a lot of these players, 4 of them at least, all played together as experts this summer, right? So they're all on the experts team, so they had that going, right? So it's like this team, like, I mean, how do you beat them? Who beats them?
Who beats them? Like that's the universal question. Last year, I believe Denver gave them a good run.
Mickey Bateman, baby.
Denver gave them a good run. They aren't unbeatable, obviously. They are not unbeatable, but goodness gracious.
Well, they were last year. They were last year. It was only a tie. It wasn't a beat.
Well, they lost some games going through qualifiers, but if you look at their region, it's iron sharpens iron, and they're the big dogs amongst them, right? We're talking about the toughest conference, and they're the headliners of the conference.
And that wasn't it, man. Like the MAC wasn't the best conference out there. Like the MAC was like, okay, they're there, but Northeast, California, whatever, it's the MAC. And now it's like, oh shit, it's the MAC.
It's the MAC.
It's the MAC.
And it's no discussions, no argument. 4 teams from the MAC are here.
Yeah.
And if hold on, time out.
And they all deserve to be here.
Nav has to play Nova, right? Nav and Nova. So we're talking about familiar. It's hard to beat a team over and over in the same season.
Yeah.
Right. So is that the team to knock off Nav? Who knows them better? Who's seen them more? Who knows exactly how to attack a team when you've played them every tournament leading up to this moment?
Yeah.
So if any teams to do it, who's to beat them, right? Life West has a shot because they're Life West, right, on the day. But this Nova team might actually have the magic key. And if they beat them, what's that, just wake Nav up and they run through knockout rounds? Like, what are we dealing with
I
here?
mean, if for ladies and gentlemen watching at home, what this man just said is that the number 1 seed is going to get beat by the number 16
Never said
seed.
that. I said if. This is all hypothetical.
I'm just saying that if. We talking.
I'm running away from that notion. I have. That's not concrete yet.
Yeah.
That's not concrete. But if anyone's to do it, right?
Yeah.
Because as we said earlier, it's on the day, right? That's all that matters. And I know this Nav team isn't going to take them lightly, but I mean, the MAC is the MAC is. They're here. So they might shake up everything. But that's not even. That's not the That's not the pool of death, is it? Is that the pool of death?
No, pool of death we were saying was Pool H. Barbos, Macy's Misfits, Mystic River, and Beltway.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. So, I mean, this dude's sleeping on Schuylkill, Chicago Lions, Tennessee, and WAC?
Unfortunately, it's a couple teams on there that makes it more of a question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know it's Schuylkill River. You know anything about Schuylkill River?
I haven't seen them this year.
All right, so last year they were one of the teams that you can say surprised people, but they just shown what they really are.
Yeah.
I spoke on them before, and I spoke to their coach today, and I watched them practice. The way their team is ran, the way they approach practices, the way he approaches his group as individuals and as a team shows why they do as well as they are. They're all Philly guys. They all work together. They all play against each other and around each other. They play for Philly, right?
This isn't their first rodeo. They've been here many times.
Yeah, third place last year. So do you think or do you believe that Skills being a number 3 seed, are they over the whole tournament, right? They're number 3 in the whole tournament.
Yep, number 3.
So do you believe that they can take their whole pool and move on into the quarterfinals, no issue, with the Chicago Lions, who has history, right? And a WAC who has a tremendous history, and a new team like Tennessee Elite on their Cinderella story.
But no sleeping on WAC, but last year they were a big disappointment. Like, they were a big disappointment last year when they came here, right? Like, WAC were in here, like, what? Thrown into, like, out of the West. Like, the West kind of let us down last year. And I'll call that straight up how it was. Like, the West let us down last year.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a new year. It's new faces, new teams. You could do, you know, that's why you play the game.
Absolutely. And if we're talking about WAC, the history says they can come back. Like, it's just a down year, right?
Yeah.
It's just one down year. A team like Chicago, who basically created Eagles off this national championship team in Seattle 2 years ago.
Yep.
Created Eagles. Like, that tournament made Eagles that represent us now, right? So they can out of nowhere bring in great talent. Tennessee Elite, we don't know much about them. Well, by we, I mean most people.
Yeah.
They happen to be close buddies of mine. I got a lot of respect for their ownership and team. They might actually do some damage this tournament. They might scare a team or two. They might beat one of these teams, right?
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't put my money on it. This is a heart comment. I'm speaking from the heart. But, you know, we're talking about teams that play better because they play for each other, and that's Tennessee Elite.
I think a team you also got to look out for. I was in Chicago earlier this year for the Midwest crossover. That St. Louis team is scary, man.
You got Mikey Baska, right? You got Emmanuel Albert, right? You got, like, so many stars on that team that just show up. It was just like, okay.
As long as Lindenwood is there and is providing players,
yeah,
they're automatically going to have a team that you have to respect.
What, Nick Feeks? Nick Feeks he was running that team.
Nick
and they in the championship they made Chicago look like a fifth place team.
Yeah, and then you got Tyrann Al-Jabori, another Al-Jabori out there. And I mean, if you got Al-Jabori on the back of your name, you can ball. Like
every
I mean,
time.
You
every
can ball.
time.
You're good. You know how to play the game. It's like it's a done deal. Who else they got? Connor Lenahan, Leander McQuaid, Wesley White. Right? Like, Wesley White, man, that dude came out and just destroyed the CRCs back in college a couple years ago. He's gone overseas, played rugby now overseas. Coming back here, and again, right, this is the Lindenwood boys down there.
Is that your pick to win this whole thing? Is that what we? Am I hearing this correctly? Is that your? Is it? Was it Macy's Mercenaries? What did you call them? What
Macy's. I like the Macy's Misfits.
Macy's Misfits. Yeah.
I told him that's what I call them. Like, we like that.
All right, so Macy's Misfits. Is St. Louis the team? Are the Bombers going to blow up the competition?
I think the Bombers. Like, I'll say the Bombers. Yeah. I mean, I don't know enough about Denver to say that, right? Like, I know Denver's killing it. They're good. Mystics got a really young team. I think Beltway Elite, that's another one of those teams out of that pool. I mean, again, pool of death, right? Like, that's the pool of death we're talking about. Pool H, Barbos, Bombers, Mystic River. I think I just look at this. I think it's hard to go against NAB with the team that they have. You know, but then again, I mean, it's anything could happen, man.
It's a tough world to live in if St. Louis is the 5th seed, right? We're talking about a literal buzzsaw, and they're the 5th seed. Could be top 3. MAC has 1st and 3. That's the top 3 seeds. Is Schuylkill River is number 3 and NAB is number 1. But at number 5, sneaking in there, and could be a number 2 seed, good enough. Could be a top 4 seed. Is St. Louis. So they go against Barbos, who's a legit 4 seed potentially, right? You gotta respect them in that sense. It seemed like the way they seeded it was just nationals last year because it's NAV, Old Blue.
That's how it usually
River,
works.
Denver, right?
Yeah.
But a team like St. Louis, who wasn't in the tournament last year, can just walk in and surprise a bunch of teams that didn't get to see what they can do, right? It's kind of sneaky in the Midwest when you in the South handling your business or in the Northeast.
Well, that's what I tell you, man. That Bombers-Barbos game, that's got to close out our broadcast tomorrow. That's got to be the final game of the broadcast.
It might be game of the day.
Yeah, Mystic and Beltway finishing off 2 on field 2. So 1 must-see TV, 5:30 p.m. tomorrow Central Standard Time. You got to tune in. You got to watch that.
That's a magic game. I mean, PR7's players, MLR players, these Barbos are a historic team. If we're going to give anyone credit about their history, and they prove it every tournament that there's somebody you got to deal with. St. Louis and them to end the show, that's a curtain closer, and that could be the game of Saturday, possibly the game of the tournament.
And it's probably going to decide who's going to be in that semifinal.
Yeah, and I mean, that we could see them playing again, right? Like you said, in that semifinal, pulling in and all that. Well, so that's the men's pools that we got to love. What you got to take off, or you want to chill with us for a little bit?
I can chill, which I got
all
nowhere
right,
to
cool.
go.
Let's hang out with Justin. Let's chill.
Man,
Let's go. All right, so talking about this women's side, right? Like, we'd be remiss if we didn't say the number 1 seed, Zion's not here, right? Like, for whatever indifference, like, they're not here. But that means there's 15 other teams. It means we're going to have a new women's champion this year, right? So this means that the women's bracket is wide open, right? Because, I mean, if we're going to keep it real, like that Zion team, like, that's a good team. That's the team to beat. But don't sleep on any of the other teams. The team I'm lying. I'm going to say the team I'm most excited to see. 2 of the teams I'm really excited to see. Camp Pendleton, because I know nothing about Camp Pendleton. I know nothing about them at all. But I do know Camp Pendleton. A bunch of Marines on that team, right? A bunch of Marines. And I know Marines play rugby. They hit hard, and they tough, right? So, like, they're number 3 seed coming in there. And then I think, like, probably the team that people are going to look at and be like, wow, like, where did they come? HEB out of Texas, right? So HEB is a contingent of a bunch of half Texas players and half players from the Northwest, Pacific Northwest, that are all going down. And I forget the coach, the name, but basically it's a family connection, a cousin. So they're all traveling down to Texas and playing rugby. And, I mean, a heavy Polynesian flavor on that team. So you know they're going to hit, you know they're going to throw that ball around, and you know they're going to ball out. So, like, I'm really pumped to see this HEB team play. You in Texas, did you get a chance to see them play at all?
I got to see them play a little bit, and man, they're a hard team to stop once they start running downhill.
Yeah.
Just like most teams, but they're a little bit harder to stop when they run downhill.
Yeah.
It's like Indiana Jones and that ball coming. You might not want to stand in the way. You might want to move to the side and just let that ball do what that ball is going to do.
Don't take that trophy. They want that trophy. You take that trophy, they're coming for you.
Camp Pendleton has a few Rhinos players in the mix.
Yeah.
So they're actually a strong team injected with some of the most high-performance talent that we have in the States. So 3rd seed is appropriate for them because it seems like out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
3rd seed is appropriate for them. But HEB, keep speaking on HEB. He's been talking about this since I got into Madison, right? This is a team we got to worry about. I've been trying to do my research. I'm going to have some answers for you tomorrow. This is a team that I have to learn about, right? He's saying must-see TV. You saying Boulder and Indiana Jones. We're bringing in movie references. Then it must be a show that I have to watch. But, of course, also, Oregon again with the perfect motivation. I got love for this team. I'm really rooting for them. And they have players that's been around Freetail and a lot of these other tournaments in the USA. Really representing. Really representing. So I looked at the Slaughterhouse team that was here, and, maybe we see some surprises of it. I didn't know much about them, right? I was trying to get an understanding of, how they function, how they play. So I want to see what the Slaughterhouse team does tomorrow.
I heard they're good.
Yeah,
I was told they're good. I was told by some people from the MAC that came down that said, watch out, the Slaughterhouse team has been pretty good.
Oh, really?
And, I mean, how do you not like a team called Slaughterhouse, right? Like, how you going to play rugby? I'm going to slaughter the house, right? Like, and they got butchers and cleavers as their logo.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like,
All right, they figured it out.
Yeah.
Did that Oregon team travel light? I was watching them warm up today. They probably been playing with like 10 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But those 10 people knew what they were doing.
There was some Oregon players on Instagram telling me how they felt. Like, hey, we're here to do it. If you telling me you're ready, I believe you.
All right.
So.
Let's check out some of these names that they got there for Oregon.
KB?
Yeah.
KB? Oh,
yeah.
Listen. KB Slaughter automatically makes your team more dangerous than the average. Automatically.
Yeah.
Automatically. If we talking must-see TV, KB, USA Eagle KB, juke you out in a phone booth, KB, Elite PR7s, KB. If this is what we talking about, Life University All-American KB, we're talking about one of the best players in the United States, right? Arguably.
And she's just fun to watch, man. She is exhilarating to watch.
Yes.
Every game. Every game.
Absolutely. And such an awesome person as well. Shout out to KB. Love you, girl. But, that's the first name that just popped off the page.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, but KB, fill out your media form. I have it here in yellow. You did not fill out your media form.
Come on.
So, I mean, she's just like, everybody knows me. I don't need to fill out this media form. That's what it is. You know, so then we got that. And then, so they're playing that pool round. Where do we go? Back to my schedule over here. Where'd I put that? So KB and the ladies, they'll be playing
Camp Pendleton, Slaughter, and HEB, right?
Yep.
So you better show up game one because that Camp Pendleton team look like they might take it away early. And I mean, you're so big on HEB. I can't doubt you. I can't doubt your word, man. So,
I mean, this is just all speculation, man. To tell you the truth, it's just speculation.
Man, but still, I got to learn more. You know what I mean? I'm still researching. So
Yeah.
That whole team, that whole bracket is just hitting
it is.
everybody.
It
Yeah.
is. The team I'm most waiting and excited to see in the women's side, in Pool D, we have Phoenix from Florida, right? And I've watched these ladies in the South. I actually watched them clinch. I watched them clinch this year at Hotlanta. And these ladies just, in the South, simple as it can be, straightforward, aggressive defense, and play together. They literally have the players to play special, to play a little looser, but the structure was winning, and they stuck to it. They got a great coach, a great system. A lot of those players have been playing for Phoenix for a while now. Since I moved to Florida, they were the team that I was told about, the team that, Florida, you got Phoenix, right? They're winning all of these tournaments. They're taking over the beach tournaments, all these sevens tournaments. They're just beating up on everybody, taking over qualifiers. So it's good to see them at national.
One thing they do very well, because I've refereed them a few times, and teams who do this very well typically win. They don't get penalized a lot, and they play a very structured game, kind of like you said. Yeah. And when you don't get penalized and you play a structured game, you're a hard team to beat, especially when the ball is in your hand, right? So, every team roughly gets, 6 or 7 possessions per game, and they're usually taking away about 2 or 3 of your possessions per game. So they're playing with 8 or 9 possessions per game and making it tough on any team to beat them. So they're always a threat to watch.
Absolutely, and a lot of life players from the past. I mean, the way they put this team together with some of the best in Florida, and people moving into Florida and just grabbing them up and developing them. Shout out to Phoenix, and I look forward to them playing this.
Yeah, so some of those big names, Lindsey Mahoney, right, coming in there. Lindsey Mahoney, Morgan Freeman, and then you got Antia Diedick. That's like 3 players right there that have been playing PR7s, been playing pro rugby, taking their game to the next level. Richie Walker says, hey, you need to come play PR7s. Mike Tolkien says you need to play PR7s. I trust them. They know who can ball. They know who can be in there, who can play that. So we got Phoenix in there, and then that pool with Phoenix, like I said, Pool D. Chicago Lions coming in as the number 1 seed in that pool. Chicago Lions, I mean, they're perennial. They've been here forever. You know what I mean? The Lions have been here forever. You got Nova, and you got DRFC. You got Dallas in there as well, too. Nova, shout out Bree Kim. She's not watching this because she's in Acadia right now, not calling games this weekend. MVP for that Nova 15s team a couple years back. So, they got the pedigree. They won that D1 USA Rugby Club Championship. So, that's a team that's going to have, some ballers on it ready to come in. Again, let me look at the roster, see if we any of the names pop out right there.
Was that your pool of debt?
No, but this is the thing. Nova didn't have a great showing last year, right?
Okay.
So ability players, right? They just had a player from last year transition as a coach, Mo, and I watched how her and the group interacted. They obviously play as a unit, and they have success, so they're confident. But it's the same thing as always on the day. Can they show up against the Chicago Lions?
That Chicago team is good. They're
right,
really good.
Right. Can they show up against a Phoenix team, right? And can they stand up against Dallas, who are trying to prove something themselves? Who you got for the what is the Nova team that we were just talking about?
Oh, for that Nova team?
Yeah.
So on Nova, we got Samantha Aguilar, Amalia Allen, Josephine Ann Asamong, Gabrielle Avila, Anna Ray Clark, Sarah Cockington, Kenzie Annis, and then Caitlin Fosnock, Emily Gooding. I'll be honest, I don't really recognize any of these names, but that doesn't mean anything because I just don't know. You know what I mean? They're playing again. Where are they coming from?
Northern Virginia.
And what's that division? The MAC, right? Like the MAC. So they're coming from Northern Virginia. They're a MAC team, so you know that they know how to ball there, right? And like Rolly said, ever since the injection of the Old Glory team really getting together, building that rugby community, helping build, they didn't build that rugby community, but helping build it, professionalize it, bring them together. You know, I caught a couple of games out at Segra Field, and, you know, it was awesome just to see. I caught the ATL game out there. Rest in peace, Atlanta. Rest in peace, RIP. You know, whatever, you know, like all that. But, like, caught them, and, you know, Nova women's team was out there. All the rugby community was out there. So I think they got a great thing going, man, and I'm pumped to see that. And, you know, what if it's an all-MAC championship, man? What if MAC wins everything?
Possible. I believe Nova was also second place in 15s this year, D1 losing to San Diego Surfers. So, again, we're talking about powerhouse teams meeting. Chicago versus Nova could be the women's game in a match, and they still had to play against Phoenix. It's a three-headed race for this one.
All right, you convinced me. Pool of death. You convinced me. Because it ain't Pool A, because
it could be
ain't
Pool
A.
But it could be Pool B.
It could
because
be Pool
Pool
B,
B has WAC. They have the other Chicago team, North Shore, who plays well on days. And then they have the champions of D115, San Diego Surfers, who literally pulled some of the best players in the West Coast on their team week in and week out. We're literally talking about it's literally 5 pools of death between both the men's and women's divisions that you can argue, right?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, with the shuffling of divisions and the things that's moving around, every time we see a new shuffle, the matchups are amazing. New shuffle matchups are amazing. You get to this last one, it could be the best product of teams laid out in front of us on the women's bracket. This is what's going to make the weekend great, because Chicago North Shore versus WAC, that literally can be a semifinal game.
Yeah, and Chicago North Shore, shout out Jess Dombrowski, operations manager, worked for USA Rugby forever, operations manager for Chicago Hounds now. The amount of hats and the work that she did was super impressive. Jess crushing it. And then it was funny because she was actually trying to determine if she was going to go to Chicago Lions or Chicago North Shore. In Chicago, there was some, pulling back and forth to try and get her to come play with the team. So now she's playing at North Shore, got a good fit in there. But then, you got Richie Walker's squad, San Diego Surfers, and Little Rock. I mean, I don't know much about Little Rock. They're a fill-in team like they will, because we had Old Blue and Life West weren't able to make it here because WPL game scheduled on the same day, unfortunately, did not get moved. That's something that needs to change.
Absolutely.
Like we have to figure out how, we're not going to hamstring our athletes. They have to commit to 15s or 7s, right? We have to work within a structure and a framework to where you don't have to make that choice. You're one of the best teams all year, Old Blue and Life West, and then now they got to play each other. And then here's the killer thing, that Old Blue, it's not even an Old Blue playing in the WPL, it's New York Rugby Club. So then you got players on the Old Blue side that don't play for New York Rugby that now can't play in a national championship because commitments to WPL. I got to respect the WPL, though, and those players saying, hey, we're going for a 15s championship. We are here at 7s. I like 7s better, but you got to respect that they're committed to a 15s championship.
Yeah, and for them particularly, they signed up for WPL, and WPL's on the upswing. They're doing everything they can to build it. So as much as we're going to miss Old Blue, because this Old Blue team won Freetail this year and beat Scion on the lead up to this, right? Old Blue and Scion was supposed to be the big bad match. Oh, well, we still got WAC, who's a phenomenal side. We still have a few other teams, Camp Pendleton, who deserve to be here and show something. And this Little Rock team, you said, as a replacement, they are a top 6 team in D2 club women's. And this year they played a phenomenal team that ended up going on to win nationals, which was Knoxville, the Minks. And they brought it to that game as well. Now, whether that transitions to 7s, I'm not sure. I can't be sure. But Arkansas has great rugby historically. Let's not count them out just yet. Let's see if they got some heart within them and see if they can show up.
I mean, and they have a foundation, right? Like a foundation that Julie McCoy left out there in Little Rock. So it's not like they haven't been here before. It's not like they don't know what it's like to be out here and to come out here and compete. So sometimes it's the underdog that has the upper hand, right? So they may just be one of those teams.
Now, I said all of that optimistically, but let's be honest, WAC, Chicago North Shore, and San Diego Surfers are going to probably beat the dust off of them. But for hope, to hold out for hope, right, it's a three-headed race in that pool. If I'm proved wrong, I'll stand on it. But the replacement team is not going to have a great day against a WAC team who was ready to go and knew this day was coming for weeks compared to right? Or did well in the West, and Chicago, whatever. So yeah, but I expect Little Rock to show up and fight for themselves. But I got to be realistic. We can get into the heat now. I'm ready now. I'm stretched out.
Yeah.
We can get into the heat now.
We're getting into the heat right now, and we only got one pool left to go, and this is that Pool A that we talked about. That Zion was in it. They were the number 1 seed. So now what's going to end up happening is we're going to split it off, and now those teams get buys, right? Because it's too late. I mean, they made the decision yesterday, 2 days ago, not to come. It's too late to bring in another team. But shout out ATL 2.0.
Absolutely.
Right? Like ATL 2.0, this team coming in right now. Darian Lovelace, one of our announcers, unfortunately not going to be hearing her this weekend because she's playing for ATL. No, I'm sorry, she's not playing for ATL, but she got them here. Yep. She got them here playing for – that's your girl, too.
Yeah, that's my homie.
Back in the day. I'm sure – actually, I lied to you guys. You'll hear her on Sunday. You won't hear her on Saturday. You'll hear her on Sunday because she's moving right now. But ATL 2.0 coming out, Boston and Cincinnati. Boston, a rugby club. They always bring it. Boston Women's Rugby Football Club, that team. I got a lot of love for them. Northeast, man, that's what I call home, right? I may be in Chicago now, but, I'm Northeast, do or die. So I'm excited to see what they got. And then Cincinnati coming in as well, too. Cincinnati coming in at the 16th seed. Last team, one of the other teams, too, that filled in for Life West. They came in. Shout out Cincinnati for coming out and saying, hey, they just missed the opportunity to come here, and now they get another shot. So, that's a storyline that you want to pay attention to, that they could be coming in, and it's like, hey, we weren't expecting it, and then you just get sucker punched in ATL 2.0 or Boston catches it, and they're like, what happened?
But this is the only thing. You only got to win one game in that pool. It's only 3 teams, right? And you're in the quarterfinals. So if Cincinnati had any of this, a more golden moment, right? You got 2 games on the first day. Win one of them, you're a top 8 team in the nation with an opportunity to play for a national championship. I expect the Atlanta 2.0 team to represent themselves well. They got a couple of players who have been a dream team in freetail and a lot of these tournaments. Shout out to Guzman. But we're talking about an ATL team full of life players, old life players, full of old Kennesaw State players, a community and group that's been working together for a little bit. And for what I've seen at Hotlanta, they played against a Phoenix team who put them through it. Let's just be honest. The Phoenix team was a little bit unbelievable on the weekend. But I expect this Atlanta team to do better than the Harlequins did last year, because it's some of those players who spun off into a group that's a little bit more serious, trying to build towards something. Atlanta 2.0, it seems like the name is appropriate for a reason.
And I tell you, this Atlanta 2.0 team, I love the Slaughterhouse logo. But, Atlanta, man, Medusa, you got Medusa, the snakes going everywhere. That is, a live team. That should be one to watch for sure, man.
Yeah.
But ain't this the beauty of sevens? Every dog can have his day, right? One different bounce of the ball changes the entire game. I don't think you're going to see too many games this weekend where it's 40-0 blowouts. At least we hope not. As a referee, I hope not.
Now that Zion's not here, you won't.
Zion was a big part of that.
Yeah.
Zion and WAC are going to be a big chunk of your 60-0 games, but
if I find some extra time, I may run some stats on this game. I like running my numbers and keep some running stats for y'all.
Hey, I got some spreadsheets you need to do, dude.
Okay.
It took me 3 days to put together these spreadsheets, man. I'm looking at it. I'm an idiot. I'm I literally thought, Justin probably would have had this done way quicker.
And would have had fun doing it.
Huh?
And would have had fun doing it.
Yeah. You let the nerds do the work, man. Let them do the work. Let the spreadsheet nerds go and do the work. All right, so, hey, we went through all of the pools. We talked about it. Now's the time to where, let's just talk about some players that we're really excited for out of this roster to come look at. I know we talked on some. Pick 2 women's players and 2 men's players that you're really excited for. Lance, your first women's player.
My first women's player is going to be someone who I'm an actual fan of. I actually get to see this lady play multiple times during the year, and every time I see her play, I see her step into another level of leadership, another level of educating the younger players. Spending her time at PR7s the last couple years, Morgan Freeman has shown me that hard work and dedication does a lot. I really do appreciate what she does for the state of Florida, what she does for Fort Miami, who's a local Fort Lauderdale, Miami team in my area that I get to go watch and spend some time with. So as a fan, just strictly a fan of a person and knowing someone, it would be Morgan Freeman, exceptional player and even better person. So that would be my female number 1.
You got anybody?
I always got to got to root for people I know. It just is what it is. So Mari off of Oregon. She's been traveling this country the whole year, playing for team after team. She played for the Harpooners team out in Freetail. She's been balling out. So I'm really hoping she has a great tournament this weekend. And I also I heard y'all talking about Gio at the beginning. So a part of that is just in there, and I'm looking for Oregon, and I'm looking for Huns to do well, because those are teams, I think they actually play each other too.
Yeah.
But Mari, that's who I'm looking to ball out this weekend.
All right, before we get into the men, right, you just touched on it, right? Gio, close friends.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
He from Austin, right?
Yeah.
Like when you guys lived there. Other rugby club, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, all this stuff.
Founding player.
Yeah, and then Ragamuffins as well, too.
Yep.
Right? Tell us a little bit about Gio, the person, and who he was and what he meant to the rugby community.
Oh, man. I think anybody who's on social media could see instantly, like, the impact that guy has, man. Gio, for me, any team I created, Gio's one of the first people I call. And the reason for the one, he's extremely loyal. He has qualities that I don't have. I'm not a big people person. Gio is very much a people person. So I'm the guy. I can organize behind the scenes. I can get the stuff up and running. Gio's gonna be my man who's gonna make sure every player is doing okay. Like, hey, you need to talk to somebody at 2:00 in the morning. Gio's probably up. You're talking to that man. You want to get guys together to go do something. Gio's that guy. But then he can turn around, man. He's a player's player. He can go drink with you to 3:00 in the morning, and even if you got a game at 11 a.m. the next day, he's going to be one of your best players on the field, right? And he's going to leave every single game. He's going to leave everything he has on the field, like every single game. It doesn't matter if we're getting beat. I mean, there's one game, man, the Reds were playing 15s. I mean, I think they beat us like 75-0. Like, it was bad. It was a bad day.
Lance don't know nothing about that, but I do.
Yeah. It was a bad day. Gio, until the last whistle goes, I'm fighting you to the last whistle, man. And that's just the type of person he is, man. Gio's not only a friend, he's a brother, he's a business partner. He's founding members of multiple of my club, from Ragamuffin to ORC, man. Huge loss to the rugby community. And like I said, you can see the impact. I don't even think his parents realized how big of an impact that man made across rugby. Anywhere he goes, man, he lights up a room, man. And so definitely a guy that we very much missing, and we think about every day, literally every day.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like the testament of Gio is just how many players he's affected, right? Like through like all the different teams he's been with. Like, it's just our producer Kareem. Like, I mean, he's like played with him for Rugbase, right? Met him through that, right? And I mean, it's just he put together a cool little graphic for him that we'll roll in for the memorial tomorrow when we have a moment of silence for him before that 4:50 game, Central Standard Time. So I think it's just a testament. Again, man, like I didn't know Gio that well, but every time I saw Gio, like, it was a big hug. It was a smile.
Every time.
Hey, Ginty, what's going on, man? How is it? What's up, man? And it's just like that energy, like the best way to represent him is just to go on and carry yourself like Gio. Play like Gio, man. Right? Like, go out, play like Gio, live like Gio, have that enthusiasm for life, just that just charisma, and then just make other people happy, right? Like, I had never heard that man say anything bad about anybody.
Yeah.
Never. And I mean, that's hard in this day and age. You meet people that, but like, I mean, just total positivity, total loss for the rugby community. And hey, Gio, we'll be thinking of you. And I'll tell you what, I mean, that's our man of the match, right? Our man of the tournament, Gio. I think we'll respect him like that. Like, I mean, overall, we'll talk about a couple of other guys. We'll throw it out there. But I mean, everybody that's here for all the different teams, like, they've all said it. They've all had a connection to him one way or other. This is a very small community, right? Rugby community, we take care of each other. When we hurt together. When we lose somebody, we all lose that person. And, shout out to Gio, man.
And he's been helping building the Oregon team that's making their appearance this year. And I think they play the Huns tomorrow.
Yeah, 4:50.
So we don't request games in the referee community. You don't do any requests for games. I may have to request one game. I might request a game. We'll see what field I'm on. We don't know our appointments till tonight.
Happen. Hey, so. Phil, put him on it. Go straight to the organizer. Put him on this 4:50 game. It's happening.
We got to do this. And it's crazy because I actually met him through you. It was at Freetail.
At Freetail.
And ever since, it's just a great conversation, man. So anything we can do to show love, as you say, the community's so small, and having you referee that game will be the poetic justice. It'd be like
that gives me chills to think about it. Right? You got to ref that game.
Yeah, you actually. It has to happen. It has to happen. It has to happen. Like, we got to do this. So, but yeah. Now that we got all these pools talked about,
Yeah.
right? We shown love, but now we got to go into the dark side a little bit. We got to stand on something.
Okay.
Right? I got some teams that I think are going to do it. I got three teams. You know, I'm willing to stand on 3 teams right now.
Stand up, Lance.
I'm going to
Get on and stand on it.
We ready? We ready? First of all, to the people at home.
To the people's champ.
Oh, do they see the belt? Do y'all see the belt? The champ is here. Nav. I'm just going to say that now, Nav. Let's get that out the way. Last year I showed love. I'm doing it again. I had Nav winning it last year. They did that. Thank you guys for making me look like geniuses. I have Nav, I have Denver Barbos, and I have St. Louis. Now, that's not really like tough picks to make. These are 3 very good teams. But who out of those 3 do I think is more likely to win it, and who do I have winning it? I have Denver winning it. As of right now, I stand, and I'm standing on it. Denver Barbos, 2023 Sevens Club champion, if I had to make a call right now. That's a tough call to make. They lost players through the rules of the 4 professionals, lost players through injuries, but it's just something about this team. It just seemed like their moment is coming. What they did in 15s, Division II, was special. Shout out to the Danger Man. I believe the St. Louis team might be the closest thing to unstoppable we have in this tournament. I think Nav is the closest thing we have to full confidence in their ability to win and should win if they play how they're supposed to. But this Denver team seems like they have a special run amongst them. The games they have, real big tests, right? Even if they drop one in St. Louis, right? If they show up in these next 2 games, it proves that they deserve this quarterfinal game, right? If they beat Mystic, if they beat Beltway, right, and get to the quarterfinals, they still in a perfect spot to take the whole thing. I don't see Denver losing 2 games in this pool the same way I don't see St. Louis losing 2 games, but Beltway Elite exists. But I'm saying in that pool H, Denver, St. Louis, and NAF are my teams that most likely make it to the finals and win on the men's side.
What you got, Justin?
You can't do it. Yeah, so yeah.
I was thinking, is that a conflict of interest?
Whatever team wins the most games and scores the most points, I think that's the team that's going to win.
Wait, is that how you play this game? Is that what happens?
Most of the time, except Club 15, you can get beat and then come. Never mind.
Oh, shit. He's at the second. Oh, blue.
Who you got?
Hey, I got the number 4 asterisk number 2 team in the nation for D1, Old Blue, right? Like I'll stand on Old Blue. I'm up back the blue, right? Like, you know, they got to come in. They got to redeem themselves. You know, it's they took that technically number 2 spot, but I mean they were the number 4 spot. They got beat by the Griffins, and you know, technicalities, whatever happened.
Number 3, if you want to be
number
about
3.
that.
Yeah, number 3. But I think this is Old Blues here, right? Like I put it to Old Blue. I think that they're going to come out. I think that this is a team that, like, you know, they have to get it done, right? You see Mikey St. Clair on this roster, right? Like, I'm so pumped to see Mikey St. Clair. I've been saying since 2016 he is the most underrated player in America.
I can go with that. Absolutely.
Like 100% the most underrated player in America. You also got a roster of a lot of great players that are in there.
Isn't DeMonte playing for him?
DeMonte, no, who playing on it, right? Like Step Brothers, right? Like I mean, you got DeMonte out there. He's going to be killing it. And DeMonte's looking thick too, bro. He looking thick and fast. Like he a little ball muscle right now, ready to just like light it up, man. You got to throw Aki some love, even though you don't want to throw Aki love, because Aki throws himself enough love. But like Aki, what are you laughing at? You know that's true.
It's
hilarious.
It's hilarious. Shout out to Aki, guy, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to the sophisticated, thirsty man. Listen.
Yeah.
I respect the Old Blue. The Old Blue pick is the heart pick. You know, I vote with my head and I vote with my heart. The team I feel and I love the most and I got most love for is Old Blue Tennessee Elite. But if I had to bet my house right now, I got to sit down and think about it. And, you know, Old Blue is a great pick.
Who did Old Blue lose to in last year?
NAF.
In the finals.
NAF.
Where was Old Blue the year before that? Pretty damn close to the finals.
They lost in the quarterfinals to the Huns, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Seattle. They lost in the quarterfinals to the Huns.
Oh, that's Seattle one. Yeah, that one.
Last year they made it to the finals, lost. The year before that, they lost in the quarterfinals.
Yeah. So, but I still stand on this team because I want Mikey St. Clair to go out, man. I want him. Like, I mean, he's got to be towards the end of his career. He's got to do that. The other team that, like, I mean, it's not, again, and I'm picking 2 teams right now that are at the top of it, right? Schuylkill River, right? Like, and that might just be that might be my heart as well, too. As much as I want Old Blue to win this, I mean, that Schuylkill River team, these guys have been grinding together forever. These are Philadelphia, you know, Brandywine country, like, all that area, that's like all the Westchester County boys that have built this program, that have been playing forever. They have the experience. They've been here, right? They played last year, and everyone's like, man, who's this Schuylkill River team? It's like, bro, they've always been good. Like, they've always been good. You know, they were just playing in a hard bracket last year and in the Northeast, but now the Northeast isn't the best, but where's Schuylkill playing now? In the MAC, right, which is the best. Like, I mean, I'll stand on that. I'll say that. But then, I mean, if I want to throw it out, like, kind of like a team that, like, I think, you know, Bombers obviously I think are contenders as well, too. But, like, if I want to pick an underdog to come through to beat this team, supreme underdog, pull upset that might not win the tournament but might knock a team out of the quarterfinals, that might make it into the semifinals, Beltway Elite. I'm throwing that. That's a wild one. That's a wild one. But I mean, I got Jihad, bro. Believe in the truth. Believe in the truth.
I've talked to some players, and they have Beltway Elite coming out that pool as well.
Yeah.
They said don't sleep on Beltway. That team has something special. That was actually one of the top two teams they put in, and this is coming from a couple of players who are on some of y'all winning picks.
Yeah. Beltway Elite is really good. As I said, though, if there's any pool of death solidified, it has to be that. Mystic River, historically good. Barbos and St. Louis, good teams. Beltway, recently good and good in general.
Yeah.
It's a great pool, but to me it seems so top heavy. Like,
yeah.
I think Mystic might get ran over a little bit, right? They might not, you know. And
it's got to be tough for them. They're young, man. I mean, Brian Michelle is the veteran on that team. And he made a joke about it on Instagram about, the old guy rolling with a bunch of young guys. He is. It's a bunch of young guys. But, again, Mystic always has that way to just, like, find those young players, develop them, and turn them into great players. So it's like anything can happen there.
But one of the players that they had historically that was a young player, fought with him and became great, was Chris Frazier.
Yeah.
And guess who he plays for now?
Beltway Elite.
Beltway Elite, right? We're talking about a guy that's making it to USA camps and really putting his hand up to be someone who represents all of us. Mm-hmm. And now he's on Beltway Elite team. That grit that Mystic had at the time when they, out of nowhere, they were like the third team in the Northeast, and they took like second or third in nationals, something crazy, right?
Yeah, that was up in New York. That was in New York.
And guess what? Chris Frazier's on that team. He know about young teams. He know about scrappy teams. He knows about all of that. And now he's back home, so now we get to see him differently.
I got all the love in the world for Chris Frazier. Like, one of my favorite players, like, hands down favorite players. And, like, to see him when he popped back up on the scene and this dude was playing, I'm like, wait, Chris Frazier playing with Beltway Elite? I remember I was like, what? And I'm like, that instantly makes your team better, right? The leadership he brings, right, to that team, right? It's just unheard of.
So you saying Beltway Elite? I respect it. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna stand on it. And if you're right, hey, that's a good pick. I'm with it.
Yeah.
But Denver and St. Louis looks, you know what I mean? It's great. And, you know,
I know, man. But
there's other teams like let's be honest. WAC on the men's side. You gotta respect them, regardless of where they stand or regardless of where they're seated, like 14 for some lower tier seed. You gotta respect them. Historically, they're going to play well, right? Great program. Austin Huns. You gotta respect the Austin Huns.
A lot of young players on it. Their team this is probably one of the youngest teams that they've brought to nationals in a long time. A lot of guys want to prove who they are. I think like half the team is like college players. And so not rooting for nobody, but I think they're going to make a very good showing. Last time they were in nationals, you talking about that team that beat Old Blue? You know who was on that team? My boy Corey Jones. They couldn't beat him on the restarts. And so he helped really reshape this sevens program and make them even more competitive. And so the way those guys are competing right now, I think they may have an upset or two more than people think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. Your women's team.
All right, so the first women's team is, but I can't name them. So let's go to the women's team I think is going to win this tournament. I would have to raise my hand for camp. I just think the injection of these players that, I'm sitting here looking at these teams warm up earlier, right? Camp Pendleton, they doing their thing. And I see a few Rhino shirts in the mix. And these Rhino girls are fit, right? They're built to play some rugby. High performance does that, right? If we're talking about, professional players, high performance is that standard, right? They find themselves, they're compliant, and these people reached out and they made a partnership and they working together. I think that injection makes them, what we seen, some of the champions of yesteryear, last year and the year before, the same formula essentially. Some homegrown players, injection of greatness. You know what I mean? You find yourself on the doorstep of a championship. I think that might be their go.
And any team that's been injecting Rhino players, Rhino has inserted itself into teams these last few years. They're inserting themselves everywhere, and those teams are winning. And so it's hard to vote against somebody when Rhino is putting their stamp on the team.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I got to go with Dave Fee, and I got to go with the Chicago Lions. I got to go with them. I got to go not just because I'm living in Chicago, but it'd be nice if they win. But I think the Chicago Lions team, they're always in there. They got some veteran leadership. They got some young guns in that team. They got a great coach. And Dave Fee, who's been around the scene forever. I think that Chicago Lions is there. And then, again, I don't know much about the Slaughterhouse or HEB team, but look out for those two teams. I'm excited for that match to see those two teams play. And then, Chicago Lions, the team that I would like to see win, just because I love their logo, I love what they're about, I love their veteran players, ATL 2.0.
ATL 2.0, absolutely. Yeah. ATL 2.0, because of the history I have with the players, because I know some of the people behind the scenes, because I know some of the players who were on a B side and played with them a little bit and didn't make the trip this weekend. A part of me does root for Atlanta 2.0. You know what I mean? But that pool is lend itself for one of those teams to kind of sneak their way in a great situation to get to the semifinals. If there's any team to do it, it's Atlanta 2.0. But then who do they face? A Slaughterhouse or HEP if Camp Pendleton takes the pool. They're still going to end up playing a really good team, right? So it's so much work to do for that Pool A, even though it's only 3 teams. But that Atlanta team, I would feel, would be the one to come out to that pool.
And I guess it depends on how they're seeded coming out, because if they come out as a top seed, they may get an easy quarterfinal leading up to that semifinal. So maybe the less games on the weekend become the benefit of a team.
Yeah.
Hold on, wild thought. They get a 28-0 for the forfeit, right? And it's point differential that gets you over one team or another in seeding for the quarterfinals, right?
Oh, dude, you know more about this than I do.
So, I believe a forfeit is just automatic like 0-28. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they may have changed it. Maybe like 19 or something, but it's some points in there.
If point differential plays a part in the seeding for the quarterfinals,
which it does,
then a team automatically has a shutout win to the positive of your point differential. Atlanta really could.
That's some next level great American rugby thinking right there, brother.
Listen,
that's some high level stuff.
Atlanta
I like
literally can win one game by 15 or 20 and find themselves in pole position to be the number 1 seed in the entirety of the quarterfinals because of where they sit. Just to play the worst number 2 team, the semifinals is set for them, but the job has to get done first.
Job has to get done. Well, I think we're coming to the end of this broadcast here. We've been doing it great. I want to thank Justin stepping on, man.
I appreciate y'all having me. I appreciate y'all having me.
Always a pleasure having you, man, on here. Always great to see you. Thank the Loyola boys for coming in here, helping us out, getting this going. They'll be crushing it. Of course, Great American Rugby. My man Lance here, the champ. And Mike Baker cutting the show back home. He's our engineer, helps us get all this rolling. You see a lot of the stuff in the production you get out here. It's because of Mike and his brain that's put all this together and allowed me. I'm the race car driver. I break his machine. He built it. That's how it works right here. But we're getting excited. Hey, this is Club 7's 2023. It's going to be the best Club 7s that you've seen yet. That's a guarantee. We're here in Madison, Wisconsin, at the best rugby complex. I'm a
this
stand
is mad.
on that.
This is mad.
Yeah,
really this is mad.
Yeah, to be able to play here and just be taken in. Shout out Wisconsin Rugby and all the teams that play here that host us. Brad Dufek putting it on, running this. Phil Coopins, and then everybody else that's put on this event. USA Rugby. I really want to shout it out to thank you for all the hard work, everything that they do to put on this tournament. You get a lot of heat, they get a lot of stuff, and it might be one little thing that somebody's like, oh, hey, it's this, it's that, blah, blah, blah. But overall, man, they provide a great platform for you to play rugby. They come out here, they bring in great referees, they bring in great teams. It's they're doing a great job. And, these guys aren't from the national office. That's a big thing, too. These are, league commissioners. These are our players and coaches from all over. And so it's just, thank you for for putting this event on and allowing us to be here.
Yeah, the closer you seem to get to administration and the things they do operations-wise, operation manager day-to-day running around, this yesterday and today have been putting in a lot of work. So I appreciate everyone who helped put this thing together. Bouncing ideas off of us. What looks good? What'll work? What do you think? Right?
Yeah, what the hell are they asking us for?
Making sure that everything is as best as it can be. The pools are set. The stage is set. The atmosphere is top tier from top to bottom. Both fields are grass. Both fields are great. So I'm looking forward to this tournament. I've been looking forward to a long time. On the women's side, we crown a new sevens champion after 2 years of domination. And on the men's side, we look to a NAV team. Do they have the ability to repeat? Or one of these new challengers are going to step up and take away the crown and take it back home with them. This is a perfect setup for a great weekend and a great ending to a season.
And the beauty, everything is set, and it's, I hate to use the word perfect, but it gets no more perfect, right? We got a perfect pitch, regulation pitch. The weather report says it's going to be like 60 to 80 all weekend. You got plenty of sun. You got good balls. You got high-class referees. Like, all you have to do is come out here and play the game. And it's that easy.
Yep, all you got to do is tune in at home and come watch the great action we got this weekend. Hell, man. So good to have you, dog. Good to have you on the mic, man.
No, I appreciate y'all having me, man. This is fun.
We got to get you on this more often.
Yeah, I like being out there a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. You're better at that, too. But you're pretty damn good at this.
I try to get there one day.
Yeah, no, you'll be there. But all right, hey, we're going to wrap that down. I mean, there ain't nothing left to be said here. The 2023 Club Champions. Tune in. Tomorrow, action starts at 9 Central Standard Time here. You got 2 fields on USA Club Rugby's YouTube page, Next Level Rugby YouTube page, Facebook, everywhere. Why? Because this content is yours. This is your content. It's nobody else's. Stay tuned. Club Rugby, it's never going to be the same. And on that, man, we out.
Out.
Out.